Hi, welcome to episode 4 of Splendid Life Show. And today we have a very special guest from Scotland. He is the founder of an organization called Heroic Entrepreneurs. Help me welcome James Shoemark.
Hi
Hi,
there,
James.
Tuning. Hi.
Hi. Um, so, tell me, what is the mission of your organization?
Well, Heroic Entrepreneurs aims to find people who want to make a difference, entrepreneurs, and to help them to achieve that purpose so that the world could be a better place.
Okay. Can you tell me about a client success story that demonstrates what you do with these leaders of the companies?
Sure, sure. So one client in particular had been running an estate agency for 10 years and, really was just working in the business, had been doing what they'd always done and
Oops, sorry. Let me just close the other screen. Okay, all right. Hopefully you didn't hear that. That was a little bleach, a little glitch. Okay, all right. Actually, can we go back and talk about what is an estate business? Because I don't think we have this here in the United States. At least it's not called estate business. So, just a little background about a little explanation about what that is, estate business.
well, maybe you call it realty.
Oh,
It's
okay. Mm-hmm.
or it's where a property owner wants a tenant to come and live in the property and pay them rent.
Okay.
So the estate agent manages, finds tenants, and looks after all the paperwork, all the payments. And so this client had been really successful, had never really marketed, had never really advertised or had any ambitions to grow the business.
Huh. Okay. Uh-huh.
But they were doing a really good job, and so they had many loyal customers, and they
Mm.
always excelled at finding the right people for the right properties. So the
Mm-hmm.
estate agents were really happy. So the owners were really happy. They had long-term tenants, no voids or problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So through working with them, we've helped them to see that they have a tremendous potential to grow the business and to
Mm.
be really successful. So the purpose of heroic entrepreneurs is not just to help people who have an invention to perhaps cure malaria or cure cancer, but to also look after their employees and help their employees to be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
So she is able to find because she has this noble purpose of protecting the property. She really excels at finding the balance between the people who live in the property and the people who own it. So if there is a dispute, she intercedes and makes sure that everybody is happy. There's a win-win situation for both.
Okay, so let me clarify. So, you're saying that your company helped this uh, lady who runs a realty or real estate company, property management company, um, kind of re-envision themselves or their company as a protector of assets. Is that what your role
Yeah.
is in this? Okay,
Uh-huh.
all right. Okay, go ahead.
So this is, she's making a difference. She's helping people to have happy homes, but she's also helping people to have a good income.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one example. It could be a far bigger company where the leaders of the organization are able to value and respect each member of staff. Because I think that if the staff members are fulfilled, then the customers of the company will be happy, and the shareholders will be happy. So that's the way it goes. That's the most important path to follow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Um, so actually, I was curious about why you chose the name of your organization to be Heroic Entrepreneurs.
Well, it's a process. There's a universal truth in, I think, all of our lives, and it's being represented in the media, or certainly in stories and books. For instance, um, the Iliad, a Greek tragedy,
Mhm.
holds to this story called the monomyth,
Mm.
and it's one thing to want to grow a company, to start to launch a startup company, but it takes courage to go on that journey. And I actually have a document I can share with you that explains the process.
Okay,
So,
great.
okay, here we go.
Okay, let's have a look at it.
Let's start the screen share.
Okay,
So,
I see it. Okay.
so there's this. We start off with a quote by William Barclay, who was a minister, and he wrote this in a book in 1976. It may be said that there are two great beginnings in the life of every man who has left his mark upon history. There's a day when he was born into the world, and there's a day when he discovers why he was born into the world. So if you look at this diagram, at the
Mhm.
top we see, and this is based on the hero's journey, the monomyth,
Uh-huh.
which is in almost every movie, and the first great beginning is when they're born. So are you familiar with this concept, Yiming?
Yeah, I think this has been written about. Actually, I heard about it from this author, Joseph Campbell, who wrote a book called Hero with a Thousand Faces. And essentially, the gist of it is that um, this heroic journey or this hero's quest um, reappears in many, many stories in many, many cultures. And so it appears in our movies, in several books, Harry Potter, um, Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, so, yes, I am somewhat familiar with this concept of the hero's journey.
Yeah. So I don't know if you realize, but it's also the story of Jesus Christ,
Yeah, yeah.
who's given the supernatural aid, and all of these heroes, they cross a threshold, so they go from the known world into the unknown world, and there's very often a guardian, someone who prevents. So Luke Skywalker is living on Tatooine,
Mhm,
and he's obviously given the supernatural aid in the form of a lightsaber, and he
mhm,
has to go through this bar scene, and he has to have a fight with these aliens, in which
mm.
Obi-Wan Kenobi cuts one of their hands off. So that's him leaving the planet and going on his journey. But as you see, we have this part here. It's called Challenges and Temptations, and this is what we call the road of trials.
Mm.
And eventually, there's a point where there's an abyss. Um, in Lord of the Rings, this is when Gandalf
Dies.
plunges. Yeah, he goes after the Balrog,
Dies.
and we see in the second movie that he comes back as Gandalf the White, I believe it is,
Mhm, mhm.
and so this is something that a company or an entrepreneur has to go through, and someone if they're working full time, they often think about, well, I'm going to start up a business, or no, I'm going to stay, for job security, but eventually they go into the realms of being self-employed and across the threshold. And it's hard to start up a business. I think everyone finds it hard in the beginning. Um, so the second part is when people discover why they were born, and that often comes after a crisis.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, your purpose in life, right?
Yeah.
So many people actually don't know what their purpose in life is because they haven't done a lot of self excavation, I would say.
Excavation.
Yeah, you excavate the layers
Digging.
of yourself.
That's right.
You know
Yeah.
more about you, right?
And it's yeah, I think it holds true that even Simon Sinek, who's written the book Start with Why and has started the whole Why movement, he needed to have he needed to have a crisis himself before he was able to discover his purpose, or before he was able to be transformed into the person he is now. And he's definitely a heroic entrepreneur. He's out there making a difference, and his TED talk has had an incredible influence, and this is inspired by him.
Mm, mhm, mhm. So I see here. we talked about that, and then discovering your path to success. So, can you talk a little bit about that last part? Is discovering your one
Okay.
line or path to
Okay.
success.
Yeah. Well, let me share another document with you.
Okay.
This is a part of a program that I run for my clients called the Year of Your Life,
The
and
year
this
of
is
your life. Okay.
yeah. So if you look at the big red arrow,
Mm-hmm.
and above that it says your path of least resistance or your one line to success.
Mm-hmm.
And this is based on an Andrew Carnegie quote, who's one of the richest, most successful men in history. And he says the men who have succeeded are the men who've chosen one line and stuck to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one line is discovered. So we have a Venn diagram here, three circles that interlock. Are you familiar with a
Right.
Venn diagram?
Oh yeah, yeah. I see three circles. The first circle is why, the second circle is who, the third circle is how, and at the intersection is what.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why. So explain why.
So the why is the thing that has been with us since our teenage years, when we actually our personalities were formed, and the values, we decided this is who we are, and so many people don't know what their why is because it lives in the subconscious part of the brain. But it's the drive, it's our cause or the belief, and ultimately the unique purpose of why we were born. But many people don't know. So I ask my clients very often, why do they get out of bed, or why does their business exist? And they find it really difficult to answer.
Mm, okay. So
Um,
your big
so
why. Why are you doing what you're doing, or why? So it can be applied to anything. This why question, is this just a series of why questions you ask yourself?
well, it's a guiding principle. So, for instance, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak's why is to challenge the status quo,
Hmm.
and so they challenge the status quo in the computer industry, they challenge the status quo in the phone industry, they challenge the status quo in the music industry, and I believe now they're taking on Amazon with the Kindle. They're offering some sort of magazine feature where people can buy books or read articles. And I like the fact that they're challenging the monopoly that Amazon have with the Kindle.
Okay.
So everyone has this why. It's just whether we're clear on it or not, whether we
Mm-hmm.
understand. And in some ways, it's the same with the hows. Many people aren't very clear on their gift, the special gift that they have.
Mm.
It's the way of being that comes most naturally to you. And this is why 80% of people are frustrated or unhappy at work, is because they're not really doing things that are suited to them as individuals.
So their strengths, they have to find their strengths, right?
That's right. Yes, it's the thing. If people are doing something and it feels hard, then
Mm-hmm.
they're making a mistake. They're not doing the thing that they were born to do that suits their personality.
Mm-hmm.
So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, whenever I'm doing my accounts, it's always really hard. And so I was very clear. I was never meant to be an accountant. I need to. This is the leads on to the who. I need to. Well, I do have an accountant, and she
Mm-hmm.
does my books. 2 years ago, though, I didn't have this insight. I didn't have this knowledge. And
Mm.
so the who is the team that you need to free up your time and energy so you can prioritize using your gift. So your
Mm-hmm.
team are the catalyst. They're the people that enable you to excel and do the thing that comes naturally to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Imagine how different the world would be if everyone was doing the one thing that they were really, really good at and delegating and outsourcing everything else. It
Mm-hmm.
would be, the world would be incredibly different.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think, if you want to grow as a business, you definitely need to build team. Like for me, I'm trying to expand my team right now. So I really resonate with that. Yeah. So I'm curious about your own hero's journey. So can you tell us about your own hero's journey? What is your why? And then
Okay.
share with us. Yeah.
Well, my why has been the same since 1985 when I first started working with unemployed young adults. And they would often come on the outdoor pursuit courses I ran, and so I would help them to see that they weren't useless, they weren't unemployable, that they were in fact strong, that they did have the ability within them to do courageous things. So, for instance, rock
Mm-hmm.
climbing, canoeing, hill walking, mountaineering. So I helped them to have a shift in identity for
Mm-hmm.
being, you know, useless to actually being quite courageous and strong. So this was good for me. This was the identity that I had, serving and empowering other people.
Right.
But I didn't really have much clarity. I didn't really have anyone to help me or guide me, and I ended up going down a path that I regretted. I ended up joining a motorcycle gang and becoming a Hell's Angel, which
Mm-hmm.
was not the healthiest of environments to be living in.
Yeah.
And if you think back to the hero's journey, I crossed the threshold and I was trying to find my way in life,
Mm-hmm.
to find my purpose. And I wasn't really empowering. I didn't really want to empower many Hell's Angels. So it didn't really last very long. Luckily, I went back to university and I got a degree in community education, and then I ran a motorcycle project again, helping young people discover the meaning of life. And it was an incredible attraction to use motorcycles to engage young people in personal development.
Oh, so
But
you
I
actually, you actually used your experience that you had as a motorcycle enthusiast to kind of, pave your way to your new identity, I guess, right?
Yeah, if I was to think back now and would I live my life again? Would I go through the suffering that I had, the frustrations, the broken bones, the loss of friends who died in motorcycle accidents? I would say, uh, I might even be dead if I hadn't if I hadn't done the right thing at the right time. And so I wouldn't like to roll the dice again. I would like to just stick with what I have now. But
Mm-hmm.
I have this insight. I was on the road of trials for something like 30 years, just trying to
Mm-hmm.
work out my path and discover what was truly great about me. And even after going through university and starting up my own business, I would like other people to benefit from the frustrations and the pain that I've endured. Simon Sinek, he had to have that critical moment where he was in the abyss when he nearly had a breakdown. And a lot of people are are so unconscious of life and what's happening that they need to have this crisis, they need to have this critical moment. And I'd like to suggest that heroic entrepreneurs are those who work this stuff out on purpose rather than having to wait for a calamity or a disaster or a crisis to come along, but actually have the courage and determination to really, yeah, excavate and peel back the layers of who they are as an individual to get to the core, the very special spark of light that is, in the heart of every single individual. And for them to then, it's that third great beginning where they actually start to fulfill their purpose, where they actually, like you are, looking at building the team so you can concentrate on doing the thing that you love, the place where you vibrate in resonance to your fullest, human potential. And if you find the right people to outsource to, your team members, then you give them the opportunity to resonate and be beautiful as well and to be happy and fulfilled. And so this is the difference that heroic entrepreneurs can make to the whole world, is if we help leaders to build their companies from the bottom up in the correct way, getting the principles in place at the start, then the whole world could be really different. And 80% of people who go home at the end of the day can be fulfilled and happy because they know they're doing the thing that fulfills them, the thing that they were called, the thing that they were born to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So essentially, what you're providing as a service for your clients is a way to shortcut this discovery process and the transformation of them into I guess, heroes who can then share their gifts with the world, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you facilitate that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. So,
yeah.
okay. Um, maybe you would like to share your website is www.heroicentrepreneurs.com. Okay. All right, great. So thank you so much, James, for telling us about what your organization is all about and kind of revealing to people who have not yet encountered um, the monomyth, the hero's journey. So thanks again,
Oh,
and
it's a pleasure teaming. I think you're a heroic entrepreneur. You're digging deep and trying to make a difference with your show. It's fantastic.
oh yeah, well thank you. But my next project, alongside with the show, is actually I'm going to be producing a digital magazine. So that's wonderful, wonderful, right? So I'm
Oh, look out for
expanding
that.
my influence and my impact that way. So hopefully
Fantastic.
I'll find more people to get on my team. So I
Awesome.
can launch it. All right. Thank you.
Okay, all the best.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.